If you know about software development or project management, you learn from far away. We used to do that in a very linear way by thinking about what we need to deliver, writing requirements, writing things to develop, developing, testing, delivering. And what came up, and I'm sure you all saw that in your environment, is that what the customer wants is that. So it's a bounce well.
The stripes.
Swinging.
Yeah.
Swing.
The swing. Okay, he wants a swing. What was budget by the customer was that. Okay? What the engineers have been designing is that. So you have the swing in the middle of the pillar. What the maker, so the plant, has been producing and would like to deliver is that. Okay? What the marketing has been selling is that. What is described in the documentation is that. What the customer finally gets is that. So the swing is here and the ropes around. What the customer is invoiced for. And what the customer wanted is a lot of fun, just something simple for fun, nothing related to that. So based on, and that's very common in software development. That's really very common, even in, you all know about some cars where you don't find how to use the function, or softwares you don't understand the user interface, not at all understandable, and so on. So what happened is that some software developers met, that was in 2001, they met in a city in Utah called Snow something. Anyway, Snowbird in Utah. In 2001, so 17 of them decided that they wanted to develop software differently. They didn't want to do that we call waterfall project, so start with the requirement and write the doc and develop and test and then at the end deliver, like very linear way. They wanted to do that differently in small loops, incremental, having discussion with the customer, testing stuff, being in touch with the reality and so on. And they wrote a manifesto, the Manifesto for Agile Software Development. So there are 4 rules, very important rules. They value individuals and interaction over processes and tools. So it's really about discussing with the team, development team, and discussing with the customer. They value working software over comprehensive documentation. So the thing is not about writing a book about what the software should do or is going to do, but really about delivering something that really works. And also, this means working in small incremental pieces of software. Design thinking comes from there too, or is used by agile people too. They value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Rather than discussing, this is what you bought and we've been writing that and you're going to pay for that even if you don't want it. They value customer collaboration, so involving customer into the software development. And they value responding to change over following a plan. So not anymore long-term plan over 2 years, start to deliver 2 years later. The world has changed, your product is no value. This is finished. So it continues response to change. So from that original manifesto, a lot of new ways to work showed up, like self-organization, like working cross-functional, like working by small increments rather than a big project, valuing iteration, valuing continual improvement, valuing also testable narratives. So testable narratives is making sure that we understand what the customer wants by having a narrative about the customer needs. Outcomes versus outputs. It took me a lot of time to understand because in French we only have one word, which is résultat, results. It's really outcome, it's really what we deliver versus output, which is the performance of delivering. So this is what came out from this group of 17 people. And then it has been used, it has been interesting many people, and started to be used for organizational change. The software people have developed lots of rules, like you heard of Scrum or Kanban, with sprints, stand-up meetings, with kind of ceremonies and so on. So you're using some in your organization. But the spirit of that, the mindset, can be used for organizational change. And basically what it does is that it helps emergence and engagement and appropriation of the change by the people. So it's, when we talked yesterday about leadership, agility, I have a definition which is a sentence, cannot tell you where it comes from, but basically to me, an agile leader is not the one who will give answer, is the one who will ask questions, and the right questions. So there's a lot of things that we can incorporate from that into organizational change to make it work. And we all know that 80% of the change don't work, not our changes, of course, we will always succeed, but, all the changes that don't work, most of the time it's because they go too fast. There's a strategy, there's a little communication, and nothing else. And you let the people with some written plan and no help to understand and to engage, to embody, and to appropriate the change. Okay, everybody knows about VUCA.
Could we go back to the previous slide?
Yes.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah, of course.
So I've been managing international projects for more than 25 years, and those kind of things I have tried, with my team. And I think that there are two dimensions that we do not cover here, and that has been always the struggle when I manage those projects. One is the integration of all those tasks, and the second is the interfaces between the group. Because when you take a big project, anyhow we break it down, and if people will be in project, we have that work breakdown sheet where we divide it, as you said, in small software. Instead of having full software, we have small tasks or subtasks. So for me, it's great, it's really great, and have made temptation and test and whatever. And the two complexity in the projects, truly for me, it's the integration of all those tasks and managing the interfaces.
Well, maybe I know what is difficult is inside the ecosystem where you work with agility, everybody works with agility and it's easy. But if you have one team working with agility and another team working the old way, there is some discrepancy. And that might make things difficult. So extending, I know many customers, many areas, many companies where they have the old way and the new way. As soon as it goes out from, you need relationship with the external, even, I don't know, the finance or another development group, it can create a problem. So of course, that means that more people need to be acculturated to that. I was thinking about an example, but anyway, we'll come back. But definitely, yes, it can create a problem. So this is something we meet regularly. Yes, what I wanted to say that the PMP training, has only, this project management certification, has only incorporated Agile in its training this year. It was created in 2001. They only start to train people this year, which means that all the people who have been certified before this year have to redo it again. This is a different story. But they only accept the new way to do it now.
Well, I was involved with the network because they make a network regarding how to include people, the dimension of human people in those PMP or PMI. And it was quite interesting because at that time in 2009 I was building a nuclear power plant in Finland. And there are 35 nations, different cultures, so working in the construction. And I realized that, well, it's not the technology or the technical problem that make problem, it's really people. So that's why when I did the CCC program, it helped me a lot to understand that finally it's not a technical problem, it's a people problem. And I sent, well, I exchanged a few mail and reflection with the PMI and bringing them, how could we structure the 9, breakdown or area of the PMP with the people. And then we started also, as you mentioned in the cartoons at the beginning, because we do not have the same mindset if you work on the marketing part, or if you work, at the supply chain part, if you work the regulation or safety part. And we, even if we work on the construction of the same facility, we do not have the same specification in the request. So so we start all at the same departures and arriving at the same, but in between, it's just a mess.
People don't talk and don't try to understand each other because everybody is on his own way of thinking. This is why, yes,
There's a nice book.
in organizational change, we're using it more and more, and as it was mentioned on the program, I just joined beginning of January, company name Agile Maker, and we work organizational change with agility. So you probably know all that. This is VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, VUCA. Basically, this is what the software engineers met and what they wanted to address with this new way of developing software. And this is basically what all of us in companies, organizations, NGOs, and so on meet today. And what we have to face, and we have to be fast, we have to be creative, we have to be open from our minds, and so on and so forth. And agility, with its, I would say, simple rules, helps that a lot. So this is, I'll just show that this is a framework that we're using with the Agile Maker, and we're not training people. We're only doing workshops where people create their own engagement and their own story. So we give them some simple concepts, and this is one of the frameworks we're using. This is the agility cycle. First of all, when you are facing an issue, a problem, you have a new project, you have to sense. So sensing was first my favorite song. Sunday morning.
Cecile, you say you only do workshops and then you use this model and people tell stories?
this model is one of the model we use, one of the framework we show very little. So basically we get the people in a room. We got a problem before, so I can tell you a story, but I'm eating all this time, so I want to let tennis speak also. But we use that for the people to create their own understanding of the vision, define their own priorities on the strategy that already exists. We're not defining the mission, we're not defining the strategy, we're taking what is already there and to engage and to define what they want to do with it. So this is one of the framework. So sense basically, when you have to solve a problem to create something new, is being able to have the weak signal, to see the weak signals, is being able to have some insights regarding your own values, your own orthodoxies, so what you think, have some insights and be able to look from the balcony, like we said. It's also, yeah.
In the sensing piece, when you're trying to detect those weak signals, is there a role for third parties or folks from the outside the organization to participate in that piece?
If they decide to. Some of the workshops are done, for example, for UCB Pharma. They did some workshop with the resellers and the patients to work together because just the marketing could not go through of a new product. So they put everybody on the table, use this kind of framework, and explain to each other what was going on. So yes, from time to time, if they decide to, so can be with the customer before the workshop or during the workshop can be too, yeah. So it's also anticipating, strategizing, it's about interpreting with what was found before. It's about decision making and about planning, of course, and in that part, we say we value consent over consensus, because consensus is very long to find and it's the very narrow common thing, and consent is much more about richness, understanding other viewpoints and making the most of it. It's very related to, you might remember, clumsy, what was it, clumsy, wicked problem, clumsy solutions, for some of those who had this training. Okay, and then ACT. So ACT is, bear in mind, this is related to scenario planning. So bear in mind the weak signals and try to orient yourself when you act. Testing a lot. We spoke about that yesterday, testing a lot. And mobilizing people. So meaning getting people to really engage and appropriate what the problem is, or so people are doing it. And usually in the workshop there's no manager or no people from their management level. What do I have next? This is you.
So, in 2000, I was an arrogant little shit. You can argue, I'm still am. And it might be because I'm Dutch, but I claim it was because I just came from Accenture, about 3-4 years of doing Vergne. And I came to London and I started to work for a new company that did a lot of internet business, and they were into, so brick and mortar, they called it click and mortar. How do you combine the internet, was the first internet wave, together with kind of old-fashioned business, face-to-face interactions, etc. So very exciting. And I ran my projects like Accenture, strict methodology, big waterfall stuff. And the room next to me, there was another project team, and they did things completely differently. A couple of guys from Silicon Valley were doing stuff there, and I go like, what on earth are they? They're just crazy. They will fail. They have their clients coming in every single week. they got their clients to agree that they didn't necessarily know what they wanted, but agreed with them, these are the objectives, these are the outcomes that we want. And you know what, I'm going to get you every Friday into the office, and we show you what little progress we made. And only then we're going to decide and prioritize what we're going to work on the next week. And in between, they were standing up every day, etc. And I go like, okay, well, I don't know, they're actually having a lot more fun than my teams. I was just like, yeah, hitting the whip on the teams. But unfortunately for me, because I could deal with the fact that they were having more fun, they delivered a lot better and a lot more. It wasn't called Agile at the time, it was just called time-boxed approaches, because the time wasn't boxed, but the scope was flexible. And fascinating enough. And then I go like, bloody hell, huh? What have I been wasting my time on? How does this actually work? And I try to experiment, and I try to experiment with that in services. So that's what I've been trying to do. Trying to apply that, not to software development, but to services. And then I realized that there are actually quite a lot of things out there. So Agile is just a banner. It is not a method. Scrum underneath this method is a method. Anyone who has worked at or worked with GE, they have workouts, or they have workouts as a method. That is actually an Agile method. Part of the lean kind of things, Kaizen Blitz, is an Agile method. It's ultimately trying to take multidisciplinary teams and say, you 7 and never big teams, go and work for something for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maximum 3 weeks. Sometimes just a day, hack days or something. And you're going to produce something, and in the meantime, all the bosses get out of your way. You can focus. The only thing you need to do is kind of focus, get that further, and then you deliver something, you show something, then we'll review it, we review how we work together, and we move forwards on that. Now that has actually taken by storm. One, because when I studied business and whatever else, the hero companies were the big manufacturers. Toyota, etc. This is how you do it. Our hero companies now are the Amazons and the Googles, not Facebook anymore, and all these others. And guess what? They are led by programmers. They've organized their organization on a whole bunch of Agile principles. So when it comes to wicked problems, yes, you need different leadership, but you also need a different style to deal with it, and Agile is a way to deal with it. So as part of that, a bunch of people got together, and with respect to the original Agile Manifesto for software development, there is an Agile Manifesto for services. And it's slightly different, driven by user needs over expert solution, individual interactions, and over processes and tools, working prototypes instead of for 5 years, or 5 years, a month, 5 months doing a business case. Get a prototype running, see if it actually delivers the results, and you can put it in a financial model. How can you make changes and learn from them over making set plans and following them, and changing behavior through experience over learning theory? Let's just get going. How do you get people into prototyping? And that's the critical bit. Prototyping is intricately linked to it. And ideally, an end-to-end user journey. Take one little bit. The technical guys will go from the front end to the middleware to the back end, and the databases in service. You go like last Thursday, Friday, colleagues of mine did start an Agile project with people in the public sector dealing with homelessness. And yes, there were people who suffer from homelessness in the room. Can we figure out something in small iterations that will really help folks? Multidisciplinary teams kind of running a prototype. Can we take out of that whole group just the people who come in and report, I might become homeless, out of this postcode, or people with last names starting A and B and C, and running that through, and trying to change it around. And guess what? When you change it around, you see the results flowing in sprints, in small iterations. You grow it, and you grow it, and you grow it. The prototype grows. So for homelessness, before you know it, for that whole geographical area, you got a lot of the parts of the geographical area, and it's almost bigger than the normal service. and then you switch it around. So, and that kind of looks like this. Prototype, yeah, you observe, you do double diamonds. I know in service design people might have seen that. But you start with a hypothesis and you get going and you grow the prototype until it's bigger than the old organization. And then you flip it over.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Is it possible to give us a story around that? Because you talk about
Yep.
homelessness, which is something which is very tangible.
Yep.
And this is obviously very technical to me. So how in that environment where you have something really human, how does it work exactly?
Yep. So, I'll give you an example of antisocial behavior in an area near Heathrow, Hillingdon. Is the area called. And they said, well, there's a lot of antisocial behavior, and people report it to the council, to the municipality in different ways. There's noise pollution. There's a couch somewhere in the street or in somebody's garden. We can hear maybe shouting at the neighbors, and there are all kinds of things that people graffiti. And there were 6 teams who all kind of captured that stuff. And we go like, okay, we'll go wide, and we understand what's going on. And the hypothesis was, very quickly, not after 5 months, but after a week, is say, maybe these are, if we get the data together of all these teams, we can do the interventions much more effectively. So, we started a team. We standed up a team. And that was one person from each one of those teams, from the graffiti team, from the noise pollution team, etc., in a room. And we said, well, grab your data on your laptops or your computer so you can see what data you have, how you would intervene with it. And we get from these postcodes, we ask the contact center, whenever anyone reports anything, from these postcodes, you filter it through this team. And we said to the team, how would you like to deal with it? But dealing with live ammunition, real calls coming in. And in a controlled environment, we would review it every single day. And we said, okay, what is it that you now want to review? And they said, well, for instance, if this happens, yeah, we should look at this other guy's database because maybe there's a history of violence in the house or something. And yes, we have noise pollution, and it turns out actually to be about domestic violence. The very first call that came in. And if the noise pollution guy came, just organized it and knocked on the door and said, well, keep it quiet, yeah, we would have never kind of intervened in the domestic violence. And they saw, okay, there's something happening here. And they tried to understand, they changed some forms, they changed some databases, they changed all kinds of things to do that work in a different way. Just with the 5 of them. And then it was working, and they were handling calls, which helped with the manager as well, because it's very difficult to say, well, yeah, I'm taking 5 people out of your normal operations. And they go like, no, you can't do that, they're busy. And I say, no, we're taking them out of the normal operations, but they're also going to do work. We're going to handle some of your demand. And so, yeah, after the 5, yeah, we got more and more volume coming through, and it increased in size until about 10, 11 people, and then we split it up in 2 teams. And then we split it up, and we split it up, and we split it up, until that became a lot bigger, and then we did a big rigor organization, and it became the normal way of working.
What can you say about the space that you created first for this group of people, and the ground rules and the facilitation?
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly the bridge what I want to talk about. We set it up now. Is that the space of it is that you need to get incredible trust in that team. So if you get, just like Thursday, Friday, a couple of people who work in different parts of homelessness, and you get them in, you got to kind of close your eyes, and I still have anxiety every time it works out, but yeah, I cross my fingers on the back, and I go like, we're putting these people in, we're facilitating. In advance, I don't know what we're going to design and what solutions we're going to come up with, but we're going to run with it. And these people will figure it out. And it works out. But the trust also is from the managers. So not only arrogant consultants, and go like, I always have the solution, but kind of the managers say, no, I want you to do exactly this, where I come in the middle and changing things. No, you set your objectives, let the people have a go at it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then come in. We also refer to it as a show and tell. Often a sprint review is the official term. And they go like, this is what we've done. And they can't believe it. And they go like, wow, all this progress made. And they still have the control. Because at the end they will review it. But in the middle they don't. Their task is to provide air cover. Make sure that that team doesn't get disturbed. It's focused on its task. That's the only thing. So self-managing teams, multidisciplinary self-managing teams is incredibly important. That's the essence of it. Okay?
So my question is about the hypothesis.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me that in order for this to work, it's extremely important that, well, or there's a big importance of the hypothesis, because if you test it and it doesn't work, you will have to go back and make a new hypothesis, and
Yeah.
then, so, you know, how do you come up with the hypothesis? I mean, what?
So it's a little bit where this thing comes in. So in design thinking, you got a thing called double diamond. So right at the beginning, you go into an organization in a situation, you got, instead of thinking about the solution, I'm first going wide. I'm first trying to see what on earth actually is all going on.
But is that
And then-
also in a team setting that you do this?
Yep.
With,
Yep. And lots of stakeholders and others.
okay.
And then you narrow it down and say, actually, where is it? We do not know where, but instead of doing analysis paralysis, and for I don't know how long keeping going like, oh, this system is so complicated, finding little areas, and indeed, just after a couple of weeks, where you might intervene in. You don't understand the system until you start to change it. So the intervention is part of the discovery. So you find little levers where you think you have an impact, and you change 1 or 2, 3 things, and you get going. And while you're kind of focusing on this bit, you go wide again, because all of a sudden, when you are looking at homelessness, it turns out that there's a problem with the Department for Wealth and Pensions, and you need to organize some other things, and the IT people are not doing anything, or whatever else it is. And all of a sudden, that problem expands further. Then you go narrow again. Yeah.
There is a similarity with PD. With PD
Yes.
you're searching for
Yeah.
what works, and here now you're searching for small things behind small things.
Yeah. So a very complicated one was around children's social care, and we tried to look for what are some different practices, but instead of kind of consultants coming in and looking at that, we went wide and we saw that one person had much better results than others. I remember his name even. A good South African name, Mr. Bota. And he was a social care worker who didn't really follow the rules. And the rules were, you go into a family and you go like, okay, you're a really dysfunctional family. I can tell. He's been drinking last night and all these things. This is happening. So now I'm going to do an initial assessment on what's going on. And now I'm going back to the office and have a conversation if it's okay to do a full assessment. And I'm coming back in and I do a full assessment. And then there's an agreement of the budget. And then I go back in and then I'll help you guys out.
We are not dead yet.
What this guy did, yes, of course, what he did was, okay, you got a problem, forget about all these forms, let me help you out now already. Yeah, straight away. And sort of the paperwork sort of followed behind him. But he had much better outcomes. Yeah? And he didn't wait for lots of approvals. And we got like, okay, yeah, you do this, maybe we can base everything on your practice. So the first prototype team was one person. But it was overt. We got like, okay, how do you do this, Patrick? And we got like, here you go. Yeah? And then a few more people were at it, and more people were at it, and more people were at it. Yeah? Yeah.
Is it true that this is within one organization that you're doing these multidisciplinary teams, and do you have examples across organizations?
Yeah, no, quite often it is actually across. So I do a lot of work in the public sector.
I think,
Yeah.
Owen, you know Engie? Engie is a big energy company, American, French-based original energy company, lots of people. So Engie has different plants, like coal plants, like nuclear plants, lots of plants. still have some, anyway.
That's
We-
the
So something like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, in Portugal, there was a coal plant. In that coal plant, lots of social issues because the coal is doomed to finish. So the people didn't know, and the teacher didn't know where they were going to work. It was still 15% of the capex from the organization. So it was a lot of revenue and also a lot of expenses. So the consultant went there to help the plant, and they started to work on meaning, just meaning, who we are, who are we, and what are we here for. They work with the unions, they work with the executive committee, and with the people. And at the end of the workshops, which were different workshops with in between time to test a few rules, time to test a few new thinking and so on, the whole plan changed, the people changed their mind and understood that they were there to produce the money for ENGIE to invest in sustainable energies and new energies. So they were proud again. They define their own future. They also work on their own employability. So I'm a coal engineer, what will I become? They just took that and worked for themselves rather than waiting for the executive committee to plan something for them. So that was in Portugal. Belgium heard of that. In Belgium there's nuclear plant. And nuclear, same, is doomed to end at some stage. And they did not know exactly what was their future. They did the same work, working on meaning, and they drove something very interesting. So the engineers from the plant, they did drill a chasm, like that, so cliff. A bridge to go from the past to the future, and a pillar in the middle to hold the bridge, and this was the nuclear plant. So this is what the people did. The facilitator, just like Dennis said, did nothing, just help them go through kind of the process, but the content is all theirs. So again, these people decided that nuclear is useful to ENGIE to fuel some thinking and some money for the future. And that's not the end of the story. The headquarters heard of all these stories, and they decided that 30,000 managers in ENGIE need to be acculturated to agility. So this is what Agile Maker is doing nowadays. Acculturating 30,000 managers to agility. So it's a whole cultural change that we're helping with.
So yeah, sometimes, especially when it's not one organization like PD, we kind of say, who feels the pain and who wants to join? Then it turns out from all kinds of other organizations they got, yeah, we'll join. And I might be surprised when the others, partners, coming into it. So self-managing teams are important. A few of you have done this exercise already. This is a little bit of a different spin on this. So bear with me. I need to organize this project. It's a pretty complex project. By the way, Agile is not useful for everything. It's a simple task. If it's a technical problem, just do it. You can do a nice project plan or whatever else. Only when it comes to complexity, you use this. So this project, I don't know if it's complex, complicated, but I need one program manager to join this organization. Would like anyone program manager? There you go. I need 2 senior managers. There you go. I only have one posted, but you can appoint another senior manager. Or actually, you can appoint. You're the big manager. You can appoint another senior manager. He was there already. And the rest of you are workers. Huh? Great. Yeah. Who are you pointing? There you go. Perfect. So you don't notice.
Advisory style.
You don't notice, but everybody, all the rest, yeah, all the workers, etc., need to organize themselves for customers, and the way that they can do this is by, and here is where you might, some of you recognize this, yeah, they all secretly in their mind, you do, yeah, just think about it, think about two other people here in the room, yeah, you got two people in your room, don't include the two of us, in secret, yeah. The whole organizational purpose is, senior manager, is that everybody will stand at equal distance of the other two people that they've just picked.
Yes, we have done this.
Yeah. So if you do that, yeah. So I'm now standing at equal distance from you, and I'm standing at equal distance from you. Yeah. If I'm standing here, I'm still at equal distance. Does that make sense? Well, I stand sort of where you're sitting. Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody picked two people.
Okay.
Can you imagine, yeah, the permutations of all this? Now, there's some other rules. These workers cannot talk until, yeah, you change the rules or you speak with them as managers. They can't wave, they can't write things, etc. It's all up to you. Do you want to quickly get together and kind of plan this out a little bit? On how you're going to get this organization, all these people, to stand at equal distance of the two people that they had in mind? Go for it. Thanks for volunteering, by the way. Complex task on a Sunday morning. Sorry guys, I know you're getting restless, but it's managers. Yeah, grab a coffee, I would say. Managers don't know what they're doing.
We got a massive problem.
Okay.
I'm going to translate it a bit. So she's going to. So if you please get up, please.
Sorry, you said grab a coffee, so I didn't.
Okay, so what's happening is, if you please have a blue space here, otherwise it will be.
Good morning.
Yeah. I was just slow this morning.
If you just focus on where you are standing at the moment, just take a deep breath. Okay? Now we kindly ask you to turn around 2-3 times, whatever direction. Take it slowly, don't bump into anyone. Okay? And hold it. try to go towards them. So do whatever, just pick them and find out who picked one. So we expect a complete mess, but I think you're going to organise yourself. Stop. So where are you now?
Are you in the right place?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, those not being in the right place, you might move around a little bit, tell us as we keep standing.
The ones that have found each other. So the ones that found each partner, or the people they want to stand with, or the chosen ones, just stay where they are, and the rest continues to move around.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Who's not in the right place?
Who's in the right place?
I'm not.
Okay, why don't you move around a little bit on it?
Concentrating, yeah.
It shows the same.
I'm taking over America.
You need help?
No, don't need help, thank you.
Is it okay? I mean, you can adjust a little bit if you people, but, okay. How is it now? Hey, is it okay?
Okay.
All right.
He's spoiling the exercise. He doesn't know Dutch woman anymore.
Okay.
Why keep it moving?
Why do
people keep moving?
Okay,
So
stop.
this is very, very funny, that now we like you to just grab the shoulder of the person that you want to connect with. In equal distance.
But there are two. So
There are two.
how am I
They are far
supposed to
from
read?
us. How
Well,
could we do
well,
that?
they might be a long way away.
Yes,
That's true.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Wait, we have to. You also choose.
Is everybody now?
On the other side.
I'm going to take a picture of this, by the way.
Okay.
Project's a complete success.
Thank you very much.
So everybody, before you sit back, stay here, come back, everybody here in the middle, So by the way, in the end, was everybody in the equal distance of the two people you picked?
No, because they didn't deal with the managers.
So partly, but well done managers, by the way. This is more of a success than I've ever done in the groups. It's not a full success. So you're now workers as well, by the way.
And you couldn't even speak.
Indeed, yeah. Well, you're now managers as well, or workers as well. So pick two other people here in the room. Yeah, two other people who, not me, but yeah, not Cecile, okay. And two other people in the room. And what I'm going to ask you now, yeah, is when I say go, to move yourself, yeah, at equal distance. Just go for it. No matter.
The two others that we picked.
The two others, yeah.
Okay.
So if you now pick two others, so you stand at equal distance without any management interference. How long did the previous bid take?
It was 6 minutes before.
6 minutes before. Okay. Shall we have a go at it?
Yep.
Go.
Okay, let's do this. So let's see.
Right. Did it work?
Yes.
Who have you got? Perfect. Who have you got? you not? If you not then. Perfect. Everybody at equal distance?
Absolutely.
Well done.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
42 seconds.
32 seconds.
Oh my God.